Welcome to Freedom Science Academy. Today we are going to look at chemistry, and the chemistry we are going to look at the topic for today: separation of insoluble solid, insoluble solid from liquid. So we are looking at separation of insoluble solid from liquid. Please do well to subscribe to Freedom Science Academy so that when I drop new videos, new academic exercise, you can also participate in it, and also recommend the channel for people that needs academic work on sciences. Thank you. So let's look at the topic for today. We're looking at separations of insoluble solid from liquid. Let's look at some of this the point that we are going to discuss on. The first one is filtration. Then the second one is centrifugation. Centrifugation. Then the next one, the third one, which is decantation and sedimentation. Then the last one, but not the least, which is sieving. So this topic is all about separation of insoluble solid from liquid. Despite the nature of the liquid, we have these four major methods that you can also use them, just like in the laboratory, medical lab, they always engage by using this particular one for blood serum. Blood serum. Serum. So they use this to spin the blood from to separate the blood sample, so that they will now use it to separate the blood sample. Maybe for example, you are doing wider test, or you are doing wider test precisely, they use this particular pattern to separate it, or maybe derivative. Then at this moment, we want to start with the first one. The first one is filtration. When we are talking about filtration, we are talking about separating of insoluble solid by using filter paper. So when there is a mixture of some insoluble particles in liquid, we use the filter paper to separate them, the insoluble solid from the liquid. At that particular moment, when you use a filter paper in the laboratory to separate this, the insoluble solid solid from the liquid with the aid of a filter paper, is called what? Filtration. Then another one, which is the centrifugation. Like in the case of centrifugation, we use centrifuge. We use centrifuge machine to do this. So this particular one, maybe you are running a sample in the laboratory and you need the solid the solid part of it. You use centrifuge to separate the liquid part from the solid part. What you do, you put it in the centrifuge to spin it. If you spin it for a period of time, you see that the solid will separate from the soluble part, the solid part of the liquid. At that particular moment when you spin it, you are doing what? Separation. You are separating the liquid from the solid. So that is one of the major methods. Then another one is decantation and sedimentation. In case of decantation, you have liquid and you have solid together. When you allow two of them to stay for a period of time, you allow them to settle. After settling for a period of time, you remove the liquid from the settling part of it, the solid part of it. Then that is what? Sedimentation and decantation. Allow it to sediment, you allow it to settle down, then you now remove the liquid from the upper part of it. At that particular moment, it's a separation technique of separating insoluble solid from a liquid. Then the last one, which is sieving. This sieving has to do with a sieving material. When a solid is dissolved or is in liquid, what you do, you use a sieving material. You now pass it through, pass the liquid and the solid through it. Eh, at the end of it, you will see that on the sieve material, you now have the solid on top, then you now have the liquid down. The liquid will now go down. So when you have the liquid, at this moment, we've separated the solid from the liquid. So these are various methods used in separation of insoluble solid from liquid. So at this moment, we can see that there are some method of separation techniques that are applicable in separation of insoluble solid from liquid, which are filtration by with the aid of filter paper, centrifugation with the aid of your centrifuge. You spin it for a period of time, then the liquid and the solid will separate into two different parts. Then decantation and sedimentation, you allow it to settle, then you remove the liquid part from the sediment or the remaining part that settle down. At that moment, when you remove the liquid part and remain the solid, it is called sedimentation. Then this has to do with a sieving material. You use a siever to separate the liquid from the solid. For example, in the house, or maybe the separation of tea, uh, tea leaf. They use this particular pattern to separate the tea leaf. Then this one in the laboratory, they use it to separate solid from the liquid, like in our medical lab, they use it. Also in normal science laboratory, we use it also to separate it. Then this also is a means of separation because maybe you have water and sand together. You allow the sand to settle down and you have the sediment and you collect the liquid part of it. It's also an applicable in the laboratory. Then this filtration is very important in laboratory sciences or laboratory or separation techniques because you use a filter paper to separate the liquid part from the solid part. So these are the various methods used in separation of insoluble solid from liquid. Do well to subscribe to Fidel Science Academy so that when next I drop new videos on academic work or other related area, you can be part of it. Thank you so much.